Ladies and gentlemen, jazbrogonzo here. What's next? Story number 2. I was going to try to squeeze it into the first video, but unfortunately the first video was so juicy that I had to leave it on its own. But don't fret, kids. This one is just as juicy. We're going to talk about this gentleman here, Tallahassee Coates. Now, for those of you not familiar with Talihisi Coates, he is a former writer of The Atlantic, The New York Times, and he's got an issue with white people. But in his current stint, he is working for Marvel Comics. Yeah, just wrap your mind around that one. But we're going to set this up to what he's just currently done. And, oh yeah, it's good. Like I said, this is Tanihisi Coates, and this was a story written by the Federalist back in 2015, which basically, yeah, like I said, this sets the table. Why can Talihisi Coates get away with racial slurs? Talihisi Coates has a problem with white people. The liberal writer was recently profiled in New York Magazine, and much like the media treatment he receives, the profile is heavy-handed to almost a comical degree. Nobody in the progressive establishment, it seems, is capable of discussing Coates without peeing in their pants with excitement. Indeed, Coates is held in such absurdly high esteem by his reader base that to criticize him in any way is to invite an outraged internet mob to descend upon you. The woke mob, which of course would be later on. The academic Frank DeBar, I'm probably not pronouncing his name correctly, for instance, recently had the temerity to suggest that Coates may not be as good as an insanely devoted fan think he is. An opinion that has earned him furious opprobrium of a bunch of Coates' insanely devoted fans. DeBar's criticism was fairly mundane. Coates' writing is, quote, fine but not genius. He's a good writer, not a transcendent one, and his work often stirs intellectually and emotionally, but doesn't move to the kind of ecstasy that it seems to move so many others. As far as literary appraisals go, this is at worst benign. In fact, it's obvious that DeBar thinks very highly of Coates' writing skills. Now, let's jump to this story. This comes out of Town Hall around the same exact time in 2015. Talihisi Coates cheers death of 9/11 rescuers. David Brooks apologizes for being white. Quote, listening to Talihisi Coates while white, end quote, is an embarrassingly mushy public mash note from New York Times columnist David Brooks to modern America's newest race huckster. Remember, 2015. Coates is an ill-tempered and self-pitying hack who has found a very lucrative franchise for himself, writing about how awful America is and how unbearably hard life is for, you guessed it, Black Americans. Yet so tragically hard that someone barely literate and ignorant as Coates is can make a very comfortable living giving speeches, teaching writing seminars at Ivy League universities, and be fawned over by well-meaning but naive people like David Brooks. Now, let's set this up because I'm not going to go through a lot of it. Basically, let me just get you to the meat and potatoes of this story. His comments regarding 9/11, he watched the smoldering towers of 9/11 with a cold heart. He called them menaces of nature. They were the fire, the comet, the storm, which could, with no justification, shatter my body. Quote, he continues, you obviously don't mean that literally today. Your phrasing, you seemed determined to be misunderstood. You are illustrating the perspective born of rage that, quote, that burned in me then, animates me now, and would likely leave me on fire for the rest of my days. Let's see. Black America is a massive conspiracy, against white people. certainly will not react to the death of innocent people with such malice as Coates. This is coming from David Brooks. Let's see here. Let's finish this off. Coates practically gloats over the deaths of his fellow citizens, much like Ward Churchill did with his odious Little Eichmann's celebration of 9/11. Now, for those who are not familiar with Ward Churchill, this was a university clown who basically said, yeah, you know what, 9/11, you deserved it. Of course, he got chastised for it. He got torn apart for it, rightly so, to the point where he got fired from his university after a 2-year stint, which he said, you know what, you're going to pay me. The university said no. Eventually, the university won. So this is what Coates thinks of those responders regarding 9/11. Now, I say that to say this. To set this up. This comes out of bounding into comics. Marvel Comics author Talihisi Coates compares Jordan Peterson to the Red Skull in the latest issue of Captain America. In the latest issue of Captain America, Marvel Comics author Talihisi Coates, that's a stretch, bud. Talihisi Coates has drawn a comparison between Jordan Peterson, the prominent psychologist whose self-help teachings run counter to many of the beliefs of critical social justice and race theory, and the infamous Hydra villain Red Skull. As you can see here, that's the Red Skull. As seen in recent issues, Captain America's current storyline involves the return of Red Skull, who, following his return from death as a mental co-inhabitor of Alexander Lukin's newly revived body, has taken to the radicalization his various followers through posing internet videos criticizing the Star-Spangled Hero and what it represents. So basically, the Red Skull has come back to become a troll. Wow. Yeah, I tell you right now, you are getting those great stories. I'll tell you right now, Marvel, and that's why you are where you are. Though Red Skull's inflammatory internet career was first hinted in the last issue, it was not until the recent release of issue 28 that Coates revealed that the classic Captain America villain was not only going about his operation by running a simple blog, his once lofty goals of possessing the cosmic cube, but that his radical teachings were based on the work of Jordan Peterson. According to the panel in the issue, Red Skull's blog contains articles such as Chaos and Order, The Feminist Trap, and a video discussing the, quote, 10 rules for life. Gee, where could he have gotten that from? Which, of course, are all hyperbolic parodies of topics Peterson has touched upon. In particular, the Red Skull's video article, in obvious reference to Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. Oh boy. Now I'm going to blow this up because Cap says in one caption, so let me guess, your brother, he disappears into the internet, and when he comes back out, he can't stop talking about the new theory of the world. That theory comes from one man. You guessed it, the Red Skull. And as you can see in the caption, clearly states 10 rules for life, chaos and order, Carl Lugan's genius, the feminist trap. It's the same for all young men. Weak, looking for purpose. I found the flag, you found the badge, they found Skull. He tells them what they always long to hear, that they are secretly great, that the whole world is against them, that if they're truly men, they'll fight back. And bingo, that's their purpose. That's what they live for, and that's what they'll die for. You want to talk about a guy who cannot come up with anything original. But let me finish. Eventually, Coates' underhanded swing at Peterson was discovered by the psychologist himself, who took to Twitter to share his utter amazement at Marvel's writers' audacity, asking followers upon first notice on the issue, what the hell? Exactly. Peterson, yeah, this got back to Peterson real fast, and Peterson said, yeah, basically, dude, you're a clown. In a follow-up tweet, a baffled Peterson further asked, Do I really live in a universe where Talihisi Coates has written a Captain America comic featuring a parody of my ideas as part of the philosophy of the archvillain Red Skull? My take on all this. The fact of the matter is that I set up the first to give you the latter. Coates is a racist. He's a flat out racist. The guy's a clown. The guy's a hack. And Marvel must have been so damn desperate in hiring this guy to do Black Panther because, of course, you know, you gotta have somebody who's black to do Black Panther because, God forbid, you actually have somebody white who created Black Panther. Stan Lee, anyone? But I digress. This is what you get. And so now, in his latest effort to continue to be relevant, Coates decides to go after Jordan Peterson. Now, of course, Jordan Peterson, who is famous for, like I said, his book for 12 Rules for Life, but also started out in a YouTube video basically stating to a university in Canada, where he's a professor, I'm not going to call you by your pronouns because the government tells me to. If you look like a girl, I'm going to call you as a girl. You look like a boy, I'm going to call you as a boy. You can call yourself whatever you want, but the government has no right to force upon me to call you by your, quote, proper pronouns. That launched Jordan Peterson into the national consciousness. Of course, he stepped away for a while due to medical issues, but came back in January and started his YouTube career off again. And like I said, I have tremendous respect for Jordan Peterson. To me, I think his philosophy, his books, like I said, if you haven't seen Jordan Peterson, look at his breakdown when it comes to his series regarding the Bible, as he breaks down from Genesis on, using psychology. Very interesting. But I think when it comes to this, is that I don't know what bug crawled up Coates' arse in regards to going after Jordan Peterson. I think it's a mistake. Of course, it is backfiring. Right now, Coates is getting roasted, not just by yours truly. But we need to understand is that when you are dealing with a very sensitive person like Coates, who takes even the slightest constructive critique and automatically goes into racist mode, that's a problem. That was a problem when he was at the Atlantic, when he was with the New York Times, and now with Marvel Comics. But he's become more of a clown at Marvel Comics. He's an embarrassment at Marvel Comics. But then again, if you've looked at Marvel Comics over the last 3 to 4 to 5 years, you're not surprised. They have gone woke. They haven't gone full woke with this. They've gone full woke quite a while back. But this just continues to accelerate the stupidity and the nonsense that Marvel Comics is. But I know Peterson is probably having a good laugh about this, and I think anybody who has any respect for Jordan Peterson is also having a good laugh. You don't get offended by Coates. You really don't. Like I said, Coates is a joke, and a very poor one at that. But it's funny. It is. It's funny that that you cannot dig deep enough to find any relevant stories regarding the return of Red Skull versus Captain America, except make Red Skull go online and shite talk about Captain America. Wow. Ooh, that's deep. But with that being said, I'm jazbrogonzo. This is What's Next. want to see more videos just like this, please leave a comment below, like it, share it, hit that subscription button, slam that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.